You're tuned in to Our NC Radio, your weekly update on everything Forsyth County. Join the conversation as we meet the leaders shaping our future and the issues that matter most to you. Stay connected every week as we dive into what makes our community tick. Brent, thank you so much for joining me this morning. It's really nice to meet you in person. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're here in Bethania. I'm excited to sit down with you and just kind of talk about the history of this place. I know that's it's one of the it's older than our country, which is pretty awesome. And it's just really a special place. I know coming out here, being able to walk around and enjoy the area, you definitely feel like it's a historic spot within Forsyth County. So I'm really interested to kind of talk with you a little bit about the history of Bethania, and then of course you as the mayor, would love to learn a little bit more about you and kind of how you got started in local politics or just kind of serving your community, and anything that you have to share as well with the listeners. We'd be happy to hear that from you.
Yes. Well, first of all, just a little history on Bethania itself. We are the second oldest Moravian settlement in North Carolina. And we preceded Bethania. Well, Bethania was first. Then Bethania was founded in 1759 when I think it was 8 brothers from Bethania hiked over here to set up the town. And then we were actually before Salem, so that's part of the history of us. But I think what's significant about Bethania is that the way it was developed by the surveyor, Kristen Reuter, is that there were town lots along Main Street. Excuse me. That we still have a lot of historic homes along Main Street, but then each home had an agricultural lot, and then also had an orchard lot. So that's how it was set up. That's the really historic significance of Bethania.
That's awesome. So now, how big is the town, and how many residents do you have?
Probably the town itself, and it's a little unusual. We probably have around 500 acres total.
Gotcha.
340 so citizens at the last census. And it's a little unusual in that, well, we were first founded in 1759, but then our first charter was not until 1839. And then it kind of died over the years for some reason. And then we were able to get it reestablished by Senator Horton, helped us in 1995. So we got our charter reestablished then. But to do that, we had to agree to, Winston-Salem had the rights on the land around us. So since then, Winston-Salem has annexed all the land around us. So we're like a little donut hole, the way I look at it.
Yeah, you're just kind of like a little.
We have our acreage here, which we've done a good job of preserving a lot of the agricultural fields and the orchard fields through Piedmont Land Conservancy. They helped us a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really important, for sure. So for those of us that don't know a whole lot about the Moravians or kind of how this area was settled in the first place, is there anything you can share about that to help us better understand kind of the people that started this whole thing and founded the town?
There's
and everything?
a lot more people here that tell you a lot more about the Moravians than I can, really. So,
Okay.
We have a lot of, just to have the fact that Old Salem's there. I mean, that's where you can get a lot of history there. So I'm not the best one to talk about the Moravian
No problem.
settlements.
Have you been a resident here in Bethania for a long time? Or
we moved here, I guess, at our house in 1986. So prior to being rechartered. So yeah, we've been here a while.
Yeah. Any significant changes or anything that you've kind of witnessed over the last, since you've been here?
Well, the biggest thing is, like I mentioned, is that Piedmont Land Conservancy, due to the historic significance of Bethania, has done a good job of preserving a lot of the land, and it's now under the state of North Carolina's Department of Natural Resources, Natural and Cultural Resources. So of our 500 and some acres, probably close to a quarter of that is preserved in land conservancy. And so we have a memorandum of understanding with the state of North Carolina to manage those lands. And we've set up over 5 miles of hiking trails that are used by not only our citizens, but everybody around. We're always talking to the people out here hiking around, see where they're from, and they come from all over.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know it's a really beautiful area. We're kind of getting into spring here in another month or two, and there's a lot of really interesting things to see around here for sure. I know you guys are big into conservation as well, so I'm just curious: is there any work that's been done like along the trails or in the area to kind of preserve the natural beauty, other than the Piedmont Land Conservancy buying the land? Is there any efforts to, maintain like native species or encourage like native bird populations or anything like that y'all are doing as well?
Since you mentioned that, we're real popular with the Audubon Society and the Butterfly Society. They come out here and spend a lot of time, and the Audubon Society actually helped us initially trying to remove some of the invasive species. And since then, we've got a study going on trying to remove more of the invasive species to let the natural native plants thrive more so. And I guess one disappointing thing that's happened to us is that our elm trees have all died because of let me think of what it is. The emerald borer ash trees, not elm trees, ash trees. So we've lost all of our top canopy from our ash trees.
Yeah.
So now we're hoping that we can get a handle on the invasive species, because now they get a lot more sunlight. So we're having to tackle that.
Right.
And we spend a lot of time on our trail maintenance. Even though the state of North Carolina owns the land, we spend a lot of Bethania money to maintain the trails. We just got recently rebuilt a bridge, to about $30,000 to put a new bridge in over one of our creeks that run through the properties. So we always spend, a lot of our budget is spent on maintaining land that's not ours.
Right. So even though you guys are getting kind of helped out with, preserving and protecting the land, you're investing back
Definitely.
into that and making sure that it's, top notch and enjoyable for everybody. That's cool. So tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get into public service?
Okay. I guess originally I started attending the Board of Commissioners meetings, and then when we started developing the trails, I became the trail coordinator just for the town. And then I was approached. 2 of the commissioners came to me. One of the commissioners wasn't going to run for re-election, so they convinced me that I should run, and that was, I guess it was 15 years ago. So I became a commissioner. And then our charter is established a little different than a lot of municipalities in that we have 5 commissioners, and we have odd year elections, and we rotate between 3 and 2, whether we have 3 running or 2 running. And then the 5 commissioners, every 2 years, appoint the mayor. So I'm a commissioner, and then I'm mayor appointed by the Board of Commissioners.
Gotcha. So you're kind of also in that group of commissioners, but you're appointed as the quarterback of the team, kind of.
And I've been mayor now a little over 5 years. So.
5 years. Wow. So what is the role of town government when it comes to? Is it any different from a normal, municipality like Clemens or Louisville? Even though it's a smaller population, how does that change the dynamic of everything?
Well, being as small as we are, we have limited staff. Like we have the 5 commissioners. I serve as mayor. We have a town clerk who also kind of serves as our administrator also. And then we have a visitor center, which is staff over there. So we just have a very small staff. a lot of the commissioners, it's really a big volunteer organization with our commissioners. Everybody chips in, does their part, manages part of the operations. So.
Yeah. They kind of like. So, does it feel like just like a small, tight-knit community, just like kind of living in Bethania?
Yes.
How would you describe it from, somebody from the outside?
It's almost like a real large neighborhood where everybody knows everybody, even though there's parts of the town that are separated. We have different developments, but it's just being a small town like we are, it's like a large neighborhood, one large neighborhood.
That's cool. That's cool. So over the years, I know there's been a lot of changes around you. Land gets kind of bought up and reshuffled around and that kind of thing. How does that affect, your neighborhood?
The biggest issue we have, and it had from day one, is traffic. And I guess it goes back to originally, Bethania was a crossroads with the Great Wagon Road and the Plank Road. So we've always been a traffic center, a crossroads of traffic. But now, all the historic homes along Main Street suffer from all the traffic coming through Main Street. It's kind of a thoroughfare from King, from Tobaccoville, Royal Hall, to get to the other parts of Winston-Salem. So we get a lot of traffic through town. And that's one of our biggest obstacles that we try to tackle. And along that same lines, we're looking at future traffic because there's a large development being proposed on some lands inside the city of Winston-Salem. So they aren't in town of Bethania, but they're going to access some of our roads to come through Bethania. So we perceive seeing an even larger traffic issue through Main Street.
When you say traffic issue, do you mean that just like the roads and the infrastructure is not kind of set up to handle the amount of traffic, or do you feel like the amount of traffic that y'all get should be maybe diverted to another area, or try to like be a little bit of a workaround to preserve the nature of the town?
You're exactly right there. I guess the biggest thing we've always kind of followed is the Northern Beltway. That would help relieve a lot of traffic, but with funding issues with DOT, it keeps getting delayed on our parts, getting from 52 over to Highway 67, Renolda Road.
Yeah,
that would help tremendously, we feel, but it just keeps getting delayed. So hopefully at some point someday we will have that bypass kind of around Bethania to help with the traffic.
Look, I know I'm just kind of diving into this, so it's not like I'm as caught up as probably and paying attention as much as you are, but I appreciate you bringing that up because I'm sure it affects a lot of people that listen to the podcast. I know just from my own experience, I did a lot of work in Charlotte a couple years back, and they have their expressway basically that just kind of wraps around Charlotte. So if you want to get from one end to the other, you can try to go through, or you can just go around. Is that kind of the same, a similar thought, kind of how that beltway that you mentioned, is that kind of like just kind of helping people jump from point A to point B and giving them multiple options so they don't just have to go through Bethania all the time?
Exactly, yes. And particularly now too with the Interstate 74 being developed around the eastern part of Winston, that's more opportunity for people to get off of 52, off of I-74, and to get to other parts of the county and Winston-Salem, be going through Bethania. And the big thing we have, excuse me, our historic homes along Main Street. I mean, the traffic's one thing, but the traffic's also damaging their structures themselves. So,
how do you mean? Just like the vibrations from the road, like, because these are when were these homes built?
Well, some of them date back to the 1700s, but a lot of them are 1800s.
Wow. So for those of us that have maybe are listening and are not here within Bethania, visually, from what I've seen is a lot of history, a lot of like it's like every 20 feet you see a plaque of like a historic event that's happened right here. So preserving that is really crucial to kind of maintaining the history that's been here. And those homes play a big part of that. I know in Old Salem that's a big draw to tourism, is being able to see the old shops and the old homes and everything like that. Are these homes privately owned?
Yes, all the homes are privately owned. We actually are looking forward to next year, for the 250th anniversary, is that, well, one of the houses along Main Street was a house that Cornwallis stayed at during the Revolutionary War. So,
wow, that's really significant.
so we're looking forward to having a presence in the celebration here in Forsyth County.
Yeah, for sure. Are there any plans as far as that goes? Anything that people have to kind of look forward to or plan for, or is it all kind of
Still
still
in the works right now. So,
okay. Who's in charge of that?
I'm not sure who Forsyth County and City of Winston is, but we have a local resident, Michael Leonard, who's doing our part, and he's probably involved statewide even on the 250th celebration. So.
Oh, very cool, very cool. So you had mentioned the development and the traffic kind of coming through here. It doesn't seem like there's really much of an opportunity for roads to get widened or like lights and stuff to be installed or anything like that. And I feel like that could also change a lot of the characteristics of the town too.
We've worked with DOT in a lot of years. Originally, Main Street was part of North Carolina 65, and so it got a lot of traffic. Trucks were routed through Main Street, and DOT finally got to the point where they removed that designation of NC 65 through Main Street. So that helped a little bit, putting weight limits, reducing speed limits. All that's trying to curb a lot of the traffic.
Yeah. So it's mainly, you had mentioned people coming through from like Tobaccoville and Rural Hall and King and everything like that. So that makes sense. But is there any, you have a visitor center for a small community. There is still a need for people to come and visit. And is there any, certain times of year that get a little bit more visitor traffic, or is that something that y'all are actively encouraging?
We try to. Like I said, we have our visitor center is open Tuesday through Friday from 10 to 4. We have our Black Walnut Festival in the fall, late September, maybe possibly early October this year. So we look forward to having that to draw people in. We have our tree lighting ceremony first Sunday of Advent. So we have things like that try to draw people in. It's more than just the citizens.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love for more people to come out and be able to enjoy the space, especially when the springtime comes. Enjoy those nice trails and check out the bridge that y'all have built. Is there anything in particular that you want to mention? Now that we've kind of got you on the podcast, about anything coming up other than I know you mentioned the Black Walnut Festival, but I know you guys are also going to be involved in an election here coming up this year too. Is there, and also the development? Do you want to talk a little bit about kind of those things that are coming up a little bit more, just so people are kind of aware, and if they want to get out and help support, some of these causes, they can.
Well, okay, I'll start with the development. Like I mentioned, it's a development that's, I think it's right at 600 houses to be developed on the former K&W farm property. It's all in the city of Winston-Salem.
So we're sitting here in the town hall. How far away is that development proposed?
Half a mile.
Not even, wow.
And one of the issues we're dealing with is the City County Planning Department has a UDO that requires developments to use stub roads. Well, we have one development, Bethania Woods, who has two little roads that dead end at the town limits of Bethania, which is also the city limits of Winston-Salem. So the city-county planning department is saying they have to tie into that stub road. So we're seeing traffic
Gotcha.
coming, proposed traffic from the new development coming through a small little neighborhood, and then access Bethania Road.
Wow.
So we're trying to deal with that, what the best way to try to handle that. And we try working
Right.
with the city-county planning department and also the developer to see if we can come up with a solution to prevent so much traffic accessing this little neighborhood.
Yeah. What, so are those hearings kind of like actively going on, or is there a specific date that if somebody wanted to come out and show support for, kind of keeping Bethania the way it is, limiting that traffic, and voicing that opinion, is there any specific meetings or anything that they can go to kind of voice that support for you guys?
A lot of that took place back in 2024.
Okay.
And the property itself meets the zoning requirements, so
Gotcha.
there's really nothing we could do about the development itself. We're just trying to work with them on limiting the traffic from that development into Bethania, because there is other access points onto Shadowlawn Drive. So.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Perfect. Well, yeah, that's great. I appreciate you kind of going into the history a little bit of the Bethania and talking about some of the things that are kind of addressing your area of Forsyth County. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention while we have you?
Main thing is just welcome anybody to come and visit. Like I said, we have a nice little visitor center. We have two preserved buildings that were moved onto the property back when we rechartered our town, and then the grounds themselves. Just like I said, a quarter of our town is land preserved, and that we have a lot of these hiking trails that people come out and enjoy. Particularly coming with spring coming up in the summer, we see a big influx of citizens, and people we get people from Greensboro, Raleigh, just stopping in to visit. To see what we're about.
I mean, it really is. It's a very special place, and I'm looking forward to personally coming back and hiking the trails. I did that when I first moved to Winston. I lived in Wilkesboro for a little bit, and I moved to Winston, and one of the first things that I did was get out and try to kind of explore the area. And I came to Bethania and I walked the trail and everything, and I was just amazed by, one, the natural beauty, but also the history of the place. And it's an easy spot to kind of fall in love with. And I'm so glad to hear that y'all have made such efforts to kind of preserve that natural beauty, but also preserve the town's character, the history, and preserve it for others to enjoy for future generations as well. So we kind of know how it all started.
Thank you for that, David. That's what we're all about. It really is.
Yeah. It's really a fantastic place. I couldn't encourage people more to come out and show support for issues that are addressing this town, but also just enjoy it, while it's here, especially. If there's going to be a massive development going on down the road, your time might be limited, and we'd be fighting for parking and that kind of thing.
And one thing that's coming up, March is Forsyth Creek Week, and we have two activities during Creek Week. One over at the former golf course north of town is the Long Creek Wetlands Walk. And then also right here on our trails in Bethania, we have a creek crawl. It's always real popular with kids. So, and those are in March. So you might want to look at Forsyth Creek Week and come out for one of those.
Yeah, that's right down the. What was I gonna say? Timing wise,
right around the corner.
I was gonna say down the around the corner. It never ceases to amaze me when I get tongue-tied. It happens. It happens sometimes. But that's right around the
Yes.
corner. So yeah, definitely. So that's a great activity to bring kids. I'll try to make it out myself. I'll go ahead and post details of those events on the Facebook page and also in the podcast description, so people can
right.
come out and enjoy that. Yeah. Well, thank you so
thank
much,
you.
Brent. It was really nice meeting you and talking
Same
with
here.
you. And yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back
If
soon.
anybody wants, any questions, feel free to call our town office or look. We have reestablished our website, so hopefully that'll be a big improvement, and they can check on that.
Yeah. You want to give the address for folks that are listening and maybe the phone number as
The
well?
phone number I can give you, 336-922-4744.
It looks like townofbethania.org. Is that the website?
That should get you there. I'm not sure how we reestablished it right now. It just started, it came live last week, so.
Okay. Yeah, I was on it this
Okay.
morning. I'll put a link. I'll put a
Very
link
good.
in
Thank
the in the show as well, so for folks. But yeah, thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much, Brent.
Appreciate it.